Hello and welcome to the E3, not E3, preview spectacular for Capital Games. I am the Wiz.
And I'm Zero.
Zero, are you excited? It's the E3, not E3 time of year.
Yeah, it's video game marketing Christmas for
Oh,
just
God.
video game enthusiasts everywhere because everyone's just watching and going, "Oh God, is my favorite game getting a new iteration, a new sequel?
Yeah.
Is something by my favorite director coming out?" It's always a fun and suspenseful time.
How crazy is it that the most excited gamers get, and I feel like I say this every year with everybody, the most excited gamers get when it comes to video games is not when they get a new game. It's when they're being advertised to in the week of June, with the newest game announcements coming like flying fast at them. Like, oh my god! Like this is the time that like almost all gamers love. And you would think it's, when this movie comes out or when this game comes out. No, it's now. Now is when they're most excited and when more people are tuning in to finding out what's happening in the game industry. So, I think we have to note, and we've talked about it before in other episodes, technically E3 is not happening this year. What's going on is for the next 2 weeks, there are going to be showcases and streams with new announcements that are happening on different companies and in different types of streams. We're not going to go over them all because, to be honest, we don't know what's happening with all of them. But we will speculate on the big ones. So why don't we start, Zero, with the first stream that's going to happen. It's going to be on Thursday, and that is Sony's State of Play. They've already said that it's going to be a 30-minute presentation. It's going to be third party. They're going to have some third party announcements, and they're going to talk about PSVR 2, which for 30 minutes it doesn't seem like a lot of announcements. So, what do you think possibly will happen at State of Play on Thursday?
I want to say as something that I would either place in either the likely confirmed or plausible categories, possibly a release announcement for Final Fantasy 16 by Square Enix.
Yes, I agree. I think specifically if it's coming out this year, it's being announced there. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and that would be something that I would probably safely put in either the confirmed or plausible category for anyone who's making a bingo board at home.
I think it's Square that's going to have pretty much the most announcements on State of Play. I think they're going to show a Forspoken in this stream too. So well, I really think Forspoken is going to be there. They still haven't announced, like, it's been rumored that they're delaying Forspoken, but they haven't really announced it yet. So my guess my feeling is it's going to be there, and they may announce a delay on it as well. Or if it's not being shown at all or announced or shown at anything, I think you're going to hear a delay probably in the next couple of weeks for Forspoken.
Yeah. And if there is a delay, I would probably put it in the category of like a blog or a Twitter blurb.
Would you really? I mean, wouldn't you want to get people more excited about... You don't think that because it's not a new practice where someone shows off a game, and then after the end of the game that is being shown, they then announce another date, which effectively delays the game. That's happened before.
Yeah, I mean, if they do anything to kind of showcase it off, it might be maybe show off some of the new flashy boss fights that have been worked on or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, it might just be a something like new release date, TBA 2023. And that'll probably be it'll probably be just something that they'll shuffle out real quick, especially mostly because really my basis on this thought is mostly because just Forspoken has been sort of undermarketed, and I just have a feeling that it's that this trend is going to continue, especially since they're going to want to really just put the hammer down and say, hey, you should be getting excited for Final Fantasy 16. But
Yeah,
that's my personal thoughts on the matter.
yeah. Like if Final Fantasy 16 is announced for this year, for it would be foolish to release Forspoken in the same year. So I would say it would more than if that's the case, it will more than likely be delayed. I don't think it's been under marketed really. Well, no. You're right. It has been, but it's not been. I'm surprised for a game that looks as pretty as it does, that looks expensive as it is, that there's not more preview coverage or more talk about the game, really. It's been basically what they've shown and that's it. And people who are in the I hate using the console war, but people who are into console war stuff like to cite Forspoken as something they're excited by, but I don't think the general gaming public is excited by this game. I think I think to some it's like it looks pretty, but what is it? It is kind of what it's kind of what I get the feeling of. Like we don't
Yeah.
really know exactly what it is. So if it's gonna be released this year, it would have to really have a detailed blowout for this. If it's not, then either a general announcement that's been delayed and there's another pretty trailer. But I don't. I think for the best for Forspoken is to get delayed in 2023. But even 2023 is looking kind of crowded. So I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my thought on either it's going to be the delay is going to be shuffled off in some sort of quiet little blog just to appease anyone who is really into the game.
hmm
It'll be kind of a, hey, we're sorry, we have to delay it, but we promise you this delay will only mean the game will get better, or
Right.
some sort of flowery wording on it. At at minimal, at most, there might be some sort of flashy trailer, and then after that, it'll say new release date, and that'll be it.
Yeah. I think Capcom is going to be there. I think Capcom will announce something. Um,
Yeah, and that's an interesting mention too, because I know some of the professional fighting game personalities like Maximilian and a
yeah,
few others have speculated that Capcom might make either some sort of preview or some sort of announcement on Street Fighter 6 and when it might be coming out, or when there might be some sort of open beta or something.
I don't think that's happening. I they just announced it in a trailer about what 4 months ago.
Yeah, right
I
about 4 months ago
and
or
they
so.
just ended, and then they just had the final update for five about 6 months ago. Was it? Was it or sooner than that?
I want to say maybe 1 or 2 months ago was the announcement of, hey, five's pretty much done. That we will have no more further season passes, and Capcom's Pro Tour social media accounts also announced that this would be the last year that Street Fighter V would be played for the Pro Tour points. So for anyone who is trying to play for the competitive points, that this would also be the last time to play the game to get those tournament points to maintain your competitor status and everything.
Yeah. I just, I know the rumor is going around that Street Fighter 6 will have a gameplay trailer. I just, I just think it's too soon for that right now. I think that, and Street Fighter 6 is a game that doesn't need to have a lot of eyes on it, or doesn't need to have a big crowd to get people to be interested in it. There is a built-in fan base that no matter when they announce that we're going to have a trailer, they're going to watch it. I don't think you need to have it on a state of play. So I don't.
Yeah.
You may be right. You may be right because the rumors are going around that it's going to be there, but I would hold back on that because to me, I just would be like, does it really need it though? Mm,
Yeah, the reason I would like to try to take a little bit more stock into the thought of gameplay for Street Fighter 6 being showed off is because Street Fighter has always been the um, the ultimate tournament game for Evo, and now that
yeah,
Sony owns the Evo organization,
yeah, okay,
they
that's
do
true.
have a financial interest to make sure that Evo is successful, that it does get a whole bunch of people just entering the Street Fighter tournament, throwing down their entry fee and everything
Okay,
to be able to collect on that.
yeah,
So that's my thought on why I would say that it's plausible, not 100% confirmed, but I would say that there's a plausible chance that they could show off Street Fighter 6. But there's I when I say plausible, I would say a coin toss chance, so 50-50 for anyone following along at home.
yeah. That's a good point actually, because I totally forgot that Sony now owns Evo, so that might be you might have a point there. And if that's the case, if they're going to show it off and then release it this year before Evo, I just wouldn't. When is Evo? It's July, right?
Late July.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not going to be announced for it's. Then wait. Then hold on.
Well,
I get your.
actually,
I get your train of thought on this. I do, and it's a
well,
good
actually, I
point.
was going to say, let me add some additional context to my thought.
Go ahead.
So, gameplay reveal possibly on state of play, and then maybe, and I say this very lightly, so for anyone following at home, take this with a grain of salt. Maybe after that gameplay preview, maybe they make an announcement saying, hey, so because we're holding Evo in person, come by and check out a playable demo build at Evo this year as sort of a way to draw more bodies into Evo to get the spectator tickets ticket sales too.
I, you know, I don't think they would do that. I think they would announce it and then quietly with streamers and with pro players, they would also say, "Hey, we're gonna have a build there, so why don't you check it out, and we'll let you use footage for your channels to go ahead and show it off." I think that's more of the speed where they're gonna go at because if you take something that I don't think Street Fighter 6, if it's going to be announced, I don't think it's going to be for this year. It's going to be for next year. Or even probably the year after that, maybe. I don't think it's going to be ready for the public to play the game and be like, oh, yeah, it was cool. I think you're going to have to give it to people who are going to understand that this is like 40% done, 50% done, 60% done. So this is not finalized. They don't want to have people in the public playing the game going, this sucks, and then have their goodwill completely drained out. They're gonna want to have people who are professionals who will look at it objectively and say, okay, this is good, this not so good, but it's in a decent state. Okay, that's cool. I think that's what's gonna happen. If it's going to be announced for State of Play, which, even though you bring up good points, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they're going to show more on Exo Primal.
Yeah, especially since Sony has made it known previously that they are looking to put a heavy focus into the live services angle.
Yeah.
So, Exo Primal, I could definitely say it's probably either on the plausible or confirmed that they'll probably talk about it. Especially since Sony has been um, providing a lot of cash to Capcom for some of their games, and for anyone not in the know,
Mm-hmm.
they have provided a lot of money to support Street Fighter V. So maybe that might be a similar case with Exo Primal. No idea, because there's just so little information on it. But um, I would say if it is given quite a showcase on state of play, then yeah, I would maybe presume Sony might have dumped a little bit of money into the live services angle for uh, Exoprimal.
Hmm. Um, Destiny 2. Could there be an
Yeah,
announcement for Destiny 2?
yeah, either a new tournament season or maybe a preview of the next expansion that's being built out or something.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's all I can think of since
Yeah.
I think the recent expansion only just recently came out.
Oh, I thought that came out in September.
Um, I think Season of the Witch was maybe a few months ago. I forget. I haven't.
Honestly, ever since they started gating out paid DLC, I stopped playing it. And stopped caring. So you might be right. February of this year. Okay, you're right.
Yeah, yeah. Because I was gonna say I think the Witch Queen was sometime in February.
All right, so the odds are they're probably not going to have an announcement for Destiny 2. Okay. Um, what else? What else? Okay, what's not going to be announced? Nothing Sony first party. You're not going to see anything from God of War, Wolverine, Spider-Man 2. You're not going to see anything from Sony's first parties at all. Nothing from Insomniac, nothing from Sucker Punch, nothing from what other? You get it. None of the first parties going to announce anything on this thing, so I think they're probably going to save that for another month. So that will be it for I guess the first half of this, which by the way is only going to be 15 minutes. So either they're going to be short trailers, or you're only going to see three. You're probably see 3 or 4 announcements that have some meat in it, and that's it. Oh, Stray gets a release date.
Yeah, that one I would say you could probably put it on the um maybe on the confirmed.
Yeah,
I haven't kept up with Stray too much, so I'm a little hesitant
I
to
gotta be
put
honest.
full
uh,
backing on it.
Until like uh, with how much I've in the past, let's say, God, it's been 20 years. Shit. The past 20 years, from watching E3 and watching trailers from the game industry, I've learned one thing, and that's basically not to get really excited by something until you know when it's coming. Like, and even then, I don't get excited by trailers. Because how many trailers have we seen where it says alpha build, or in concept, or artist representation, or stuff like that are pre-qualified, and then you go and play it when it comes out, and it looks completely different from when they've done they did the original trailer. Like, I think the one game that always stick in my mind when it comes to concept to gameplay and feeling gypped was the original Fable, and what they took out of it pissed me off so much I couldn't enjoy the game. So I learned then, don't get excited until you know what's in there. So
Yeah, and I think that would be sort of a good thing to preface to anyone who's going to be um, watching these Summer Game Fest streams is
yeah,
definitely temper your expectations because um, if a game series or a game by one of your favorite directors or producers has a trailer and the trailer says concept art or early build and not representative of final product, definitely keep your expectations low.
or
Just
in engine. When people see in engine, they immediately, oh, this is the real game. No, it means that they use the engine to create this vignette that is representative of what they're trying to do. So they're able to do it in engine, but it doesn't mean it's going to be stable enough to have it exactly the way it looks. So
yeah.
okay. Um, The second half is going to be PSVR 2 announcements or showcases. They're saying. So, I got to be honest. I'm not interested in VR at all. Do you have an Oculus or do you have a VR headset?
Funny story on how I got my PSVR headset.
Okay.
Um, my former boss at my former employer many years ago,
Mm,
during one of my reviews, I made huge progress on my career and everything. And this was when just I'd gone through just sort of a slew of um, very, very stressful events regarding my significant other and everything.
yeah.
So, kind of as a nice gesture from my former boss, and on acing my review, she was like, "Hey, man, just you you've had a unfortunate lot of stressful events come into your life, so I'm going to send you a care package." And um, I was just like, okay, corporate care packages are usually just, um, f- just a box of food, a fruit basket from like um, uh, edible creations or whatever.
Hardcore
Just,
pornography. Yeah, I get you.
and well, just instead, what I got was a giant PSVR starter kit from my former boss. Just um, the the complete kit with the PlayStation 4 camera, the Move controllers, the headset, and then just a stack of VR games.
Mm,
So yeah, she went all out and everything, just to kind of give me some um, appreciation for just doing really well on my professional yearly review that year. So yeah, I got one hell of a jump start with PSVR, and while I don't use it as often these days, it's still very fun and it's still a technology I'm very curious about.
okay.
So PSVR, I think, will be very interesting to see, mostly because I'm very curious on if they've got any sort of uh, PSVR partners that are going to be, um, I guess, showcasing something right away. Um, and part of me wonders if there are going to be any potential PSVR partners that had something immediately lined up for the original PSVR, if they are working on something on PSVR 2, and if it's going to be immediately shown off. One of the games, or rather, one of the studios that comes to mind is Alchemy Labs,
Hmm.
and they're the guys behind Job Simulator. And
Oh, okay.
mostly because just they were one of the ones that were right at the forefront for the original PSVR. And if I remember correctly, they had gotten a good amount of monetary assistance from Sony to make sure that it was um, a platform exclusive on PlayStation for a little bit before it got released on Steam. And um, I don't know if it came out for Oculus, but I wouldn't doubt it if it did. So I'm personally wondering if they've got something that will be shown off um, on on the PSVR showcase, and maybe something that uh, kind of shows off some of the more technical prowess of PlayStation VR, or maybe even demos some of the new controller tech that they've got in their new Orb controllers.
Mm.
So I just cannot think of anything immediately that comes to mind, but um,
L-
because
let's go over the rumors that are going around right now because it looks like it's mostly rumors that are circulating. There's nothing really concrete. Um, rumors Killzone is coming back, but in VR.
that
Uh,
would be kind of fun. Since I quite liked um, Killzone Shadowfall.
okay. Was that good? Because I kind of skipped it.
It was okay. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible either.
Okay. Um, rumor is that a Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 PSVR 2 mode will also be revealed. So that also kind of hints at what its release date's going to be. Because the new call. It's the new Call of Duty for this year, right?
Yeah. Um, Modern Warfare 2, um, the reboot. Yeah. It's I believe there's already a PlayStation Store advertisement for the game right now. So and I believe it's got the usual release date for it. So just the August through September, excuse me, August through October release window. I forget exactly when, but I'm assuming that's probably when the game's coming out.
Mm. Um, the other rumor going around is that Half-Life Alyx will be ported onto the PSVR 2.
That
So,
one would be interesting,
mm,
especially since I don't think Valve has had a game grace console since the original release of the Orange Box and maybe Portal 2.
yeah, I think it would be Portal 2, right? That would have been the last one.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I forget since
Yeah, it's been a
Valve
while.
is always on PC, so
Yeah.
yeah, that will be really interesting to see if the rumor is that Half-Life 2 Alex is coming to PSVR 2.
And it looks like the other thing that's being talked about is basically the New Horizon VR game is probably going to be the biggest thing on the showcase. So that's the other rumor going around with that, at least.
Yeah, that one might be interesting. Um, Even then, I think it probably end up being sort of more like a tuned down version of Horizon or something, especially since the combat gets real intense and everything in Horizon. So I'd almost muse maybe it's something kind of like the VR version of Skyrim, where the combat wasn't too hectic or too crazy.
Hmm.
So maybe something like that would be interesting to see.
Yeah. That's really it for State of Play. I mean, it's, again, it's going to be 30 minutes long, so it's not going to be much. They're only sticking to third party with the non PSVR stuff, and then the PSVR stuff will be what it is. Um, Yeah, and then we're assuming that it's going to be equal time. So it'll be 15 minutes for one, 15 minutes for the other. So, yeah, that's really all we can do on this one. So, don't expect much, is what I would say for State of Play. Except for maybe Final Fantasy 16 being announced for a release date. Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on. The biggest, I think, the biggest stream that's going to happen is going to be next week, and it's going to be the Summer Games Fest, be next Thursday. And they've already announced on Twitter today, let me get the image, the 30 partners that will be participating in this. Now, just because they're a partner doesn't mean they're announcing something. So keep that in mind. But I'm looking at it right now, and it's 2K, Activision, Atlas, Bandai Namco, Capcom, Deep Silver, Devolver, EA, Epic, Humble Games, MiHoYo. So they're probably going to announce. They're probably going to show off that new game. Netflix is on there for some reason. PlayStation, Sega, Square Enix, Steam, WB, and Xbox. And I skipped a bunch, but as to what's rumored, not much. To be completely honest, not much. It's
Yeah. They've been pretty good about trying to keep the secret sauce a secret this year, so it'll be interesting. I know Sega has hinted that they will be showing some stuff off on social media at the Summer Games Fest, so I know that much. Um, your mention of MiHoYo probably showing off Honkai Star Rail, that's probably likely, especially since right now there have been a bunch of creative types on YouTube that have basically been doing some of the sponsored advertising spots for the Honkai Star Rail
oh,
closed beta.
000. Did you just use a white racial slur?
No, I did not.
I don't know. I'm as a person of European descent, I'm kind of offended right now.
Goodness. So, MiHoYo revealing Star Rail is likely something that might be discussed, or maybe something to kind of say, hey, we're going to have the open beta period during these dates, so sign up and make sure you get notified when we do.
Mhm.
Netflix, I imagine, since Netflix has its own presentation, which we will be getting to. Um,
We're not getting into it actually. It's
or
it's
right,
it's one of
rather,
the smaller ones, so we're kind of skipping it. But you might as
yeah.
well get into it. Go ahead.
Netflix, as far as Summer Games Fest goes, it's probably going to be just maybe a couple of small things and um, probably a lot of heavy-handed. Hey, if you want to see more, you got to tune into our presentation. So,
Yeah.
um, so that's that, and maybe a reminder. Hey, by the way, Stranger Things 4 season 4 is out, so you should go make sure to watch that and play whatever game that we've released to tie into Stranger Things season 4.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
PlayStation's probably going to be a recap of everything from the State of Play announcement. The image showing Bloober Team is kind of interesting, especially with the rumors floating around that supposedly Konami has contracted them for a Silent Hill reboot, supposedly, but
Now,
that's
peop
as much as I can think of
from what
on
I've read
them.
online, people are kind of mixed with that announcement, with that rumor. Like
Yeah,
they're excited. What sounds like is they're excited for a new Silent Hill, but they've played Bloober Team's previous games and not really enthusiastic by it. I think they did the medium, right? And that didn't do so hot.
yeah, the medium was not great, and then
Hmm.
the Blair Witch game that they did,
Oh
which
God.
supposedly they picked the Blair Witch property instead of the Saw property for their commercially tied horror game. Apparently, the Blair Witch game wasn't great either,
Mm.
so that one's just kind of like, ooh, yeah, that might be a potential train wreck.
I mean, I haven't seen the other Blair Witch movies, but from what I remember, the Blair Witch Project, thing that made it scary is you couldn't fucking see what was going on. That was
Yeah.
what made it scary. So okay, whatever. I don't know. Again, I
Um,
haven't seen the other films, so no.
yeah.
I let me take that back. I saw Blair Witch 2. It was horrible. I remember that. Um,
Um, the mention on the little graphic of gosh, what oh the mention of Devolver is interesting. Mostly because I know Devolver has usually had their own little E3 knockoff or knockoff event,
yeah, I love
which
those.
has usually been a riot. I know last year's was kind of interesting since they didn't really have sort of a skit for it and everything. Instead, they had the uh, free Steam download of walking through a virtual convention hall that was closed down and had security robots all over the place.
Yeah,
So I don't know what Devolver could do, or if it might be, hey, since we're going all digital, we've got another wacky skit again, or if it's just going to be a, hey, here are a couple games that we're going to show off. We'll have some of these with playable demo builds on the Steam Summer Games Fest page, or maybe they might do yet another virtual convention hall thing this year.
yeah.
Um, there's such a wild card, so that one's going to be interesting to see how Devolver plays it this year.
Hold on a second. Is Disney Interactive in this, or am I looking at the? I'm looking at something. No, no, that's not Disney. Never mind. Sorry,
No.
sorry. That's Digital Extremes. Oh my god. Okay, so then we know Warframe's going to be there.
Yeah, the digital extremes mention is interesting because I know one of the big things that um, their community manager, Rebecca Ford, has mentioned is on one of the list of priorities of things that they want to do is they want to get cross-platform play and progression, or excuse me, not cross-platform play, but cross-platform progression implemented, because that's been on the wish list of the Warframe player base for years.
Hmm.
And um, granted, I personally don't like where Warframe is right now on a game balance standpoint.
Yeah.
Um, I still hope that cross-platform play does happen because uh, while I'm not much into playing Warframe these days, I would love to be able to help any friends who might be on PS4, PS5, Xbox One, or Xbox Series X, or Switch, with all the stuff that my PC profile has just built out over the years, instead of having to just start over from complete scratch to build and gear up all the stuff that I've built on my PC account. And I think I've put several thousand hours over a few years into Warframe. So
Yeah.
I would love to see some sort of an announcement on cross progression, but there's no telling. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, while I love digital extremes, I think that they can be a great bunch of people. Just they need to have better management because they're just so scatterbrained. Because they'll just release one store expansion or one new hub area, and it'll just be in a barely functional state, and then it's off to working on a whole bunch of other um, harebrained skunkwork projects that didn't really have any full thought put into them.
Hmm.
And then when the player base starts to complain to a point that they can't ignore it, then at that point they finally go back and say, okay, yeah, that's the thing we should fix because that's critical, and then just nothing ever gets a solid fix.
Yeah.
So, which again, unfortunate, but that's what Warframe has become lately.
Okay. Let's just go through the partner lineup and just pick out of random what we think is going to happen. I'll go first. Atlas. I think people are getting excited thinking the new Persona is going to come out. No, that's not what's going to happen. They're going to show more on Soul Hackers 2. I think that's what.
Oh yeah.
I think
Yeah, I
that's what.
would I would probably say you are definitely confirmed right on the money, and unfortunately I've seen just the Persona hype machine go into overdrive on this.
Yeah.
They're just like, "Oh my God. Uh, they've got to announce Persona 6. They've got to." And it's just like, "No.
No.
They're Soul Hackers 2 is the next big thing. They're going to announce that. If they do announce any Persona related stuff, I would expect it to be side games for related to Persona 5. That's as most as I could expect, as far as the Persona stuff.
Right.
Um, I would love for Atlas to talk about any potential Vanillaware projects, because while 13 Sentinels came out with a Switch port
Yeah.
recently, I would love to see a port of um, Muramasa, Muramasa the Demon Blade, uh, mostly because the last release that it had was sort of uh, I guess you could say a perfected release.
It was the Vita version,
Um,
right?
yep,
Yeah.
on Vita, and ever since then, just that's really the only way you can play it. And with Sony possibly closing down the Vita store and physical copies of Muramasa starting to slowly climb in price, I would love to see something like, hey, we're going to re-release Vanillaware's Muramasa the Demon Blade on uh, PS4 and Switch. Would
Yeah.
love that. That would be absolute moonshot territory. I don't expect this to be a thing, but
Yeah.
would love to be pleasantly surprised by an announcement about just Vanillaware either to bring out something from their back catalog to current consoles, or um, maybe even announcing a brand new project that they're working on.
Activision. It's gonna be Modern Warfare 2.
Oh
That's
yeah,
it. That's it. That's all there is. It's nothing else. Don't expect a Crash announcement. Don't expect anything from Blizzard, because it says specifically Activision. It doesn't say Activision Blizzard. So my expectation is that's Modern Warfare 2. So
Yep,
that's
it's going to be an official gameplay reveal, I would imagine. Just something to get the hype machine going.
yeah. EA could be one of two things. They're either going to show a gameplay trailer for Dead Space, or they are going to announce improvements for Battlefield 2042.
I will have to disagree on the Battlefield mention, mostly because there was a recent blog entry that came out
Okay.
about them discontinuing a mode that
Oh
um,
God, yes.
um, discontinuing a mode that was one of the biggest things that they were marketing about the game. So I think that game is going to quickly fall into the same sort of pitfall that Anthem did. So it's just going to be quietly shuffled under a rug.
Ah,
Um, but as a counter offer, I would say
okay.
maybe EA will talk about their new football club direction to kind of
No,
get the marketing machine going.
no,
Maybe.
I don't think they're going to do that. No, they still have to sell FIFA 23. I think this is what FIFA 23 is this year. So, and in order not to get in any kind of trouble or legal trouble with FIFA, the brand right now, they probably will not announce EAFC. I think that once FIFA 23 is announced and gone through the first month, then they'll start talking about it. But I don't think they're going to want to. I don't think they're going to really spite themselves to announce EAFC at the conference. Only because I think that will put them in legal jeopardy. Because the last thing you want to do, especially in contracts, what they usually have in contracts is that you can't really badmouth or you can't cause harm to a brand when you're under contract. That's what happened with Star Wars when Battlefront 2 came out and they had the loot boxes and it started getting into all that trouble. That's the reason why EA decided that they had to take away the loot boxes, because Disney felt they were harming the Star Wars brand. So I think that's not going to happen until the game has had their first month or two, and then they'll announce it. Not to get harsh with you, I know that was your idea, but I like how you disagreed with me with the one thing. I have to disagree with you there, because I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, and that's a fair counterpoint too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's Dead Space. I think that's EA's thing. Unless, what is... Maybe it's Need for Speed.
Actually, that would be a more likely thing because I
Okay.
know that they've been doing a lot of sort of softball marketing on it, saying, "Hey, um, the new Need for Speed is going for a sort of drift anime feel, but it'll be set in Chicago." And
What?
yeah, yeah,
Okay. No, Chicago's not a bad town. But an anime feel?
yeah,
Hey, welcome to Chicago, you fucking weeb. What?
yeah. So that's apparently the vibe that they've been sort of going off with their marketing, saying, "Hey, we're going for a more initial D anime feel. The setting will be in Chicago, so I assume it's just going to be drift shenanigans and all that sort of stuff. Maybe some sort of like cell shaded vibe to it. I don't know, but that would probably be a likely thing to talk about, especially if they want to build the hype machine, because I believe they've got the Codemasters team now working on the new Need for Speed game as well too.
Mm. Mediatonic is on there, so Fall Guys will probably have an announcement. I don't know if they'll just reiterate that they're going free to play, or if they're going to announce their first battle pass, but that'll be there. Sega. Sonic Frontiers?
Yeah, probably Sonic Frontiers, maybe touching a little bit on Sonic Origins, because I know the only real gameplay reveal that has been shown off was a stream in Korea a few weeks ago. So maybe to kind of drive the Sonic Origins hype machine, they might show off some of the same build footage that the Koreans got a few weeks ago.
Okay.
Maybe. So, um, gosh,
Square Enix.
Square Enix, um,
Maybe if
maybe a recap on.
Forspoken is not at State of Play, it ends up here.
That could be a plausible possibility.
Okay.
I was thinking um, maybe kind of a small touch point on the next story update patch for 14, since
Mm,
14 seems to be saving the financial ass of Square Enix right now.
wouldn't that be a PC gamer show? A PC gaming show thing?
No, I mean because 14's on PS4 and PS5 as well too.
Mm. Um. Oh, what's the name of the tactical RPG they announced at the last State of Play? I don't remember the name.
Oh yeah.
Um.
Um, the one that had like 3D movement and wasn't really constrained to a grid.
Yeah. It had a bad name. I know that much.
Yeah.
Square Enix. I mean, they could talk about Live Alive. I just saw
Yeah.
that. I just saw that on there. I was like, oh yeah, Live Alive. But that would be more of a Nintendo thing, which
Yeah.
we'll get into that. Uh, what the hell? Diofield Chronicle.
Yeah.
Chronicle. What a terrible name, by the way. But it's not as bad as Triangle Strategy, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. I know Star Ocean, the Divine Source, that can be written off because they just announced this morning via social media that the game would be delayed into next year.
Mm.
Um, maybe some more substantial footage on Valkyrie Elysium.
By substantial, you mean improved?
Either improved or something to show off more than, hey, it's Nier Automata just in the realm of a Valkyrie profile.
Yeah. And I love the first Valkyrie profile, but damn, that did not look good. Um,
Well, also, uh, this actually should have been something I mentioned during the Sony State of Play thing, but I know, uh, I believe it was Yoshinori Kitase had hinted sometime last week that they would be making some serious announcements about Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. So that
hmm.
might be something that they announce during the Sony State of Play, because that was just one
Probably
thing that,
the announcement is going to be that it's an active development, and
yeah,
yeah, I would not expect a trailer. I would be shocked.
no,
I think they
yeah,
would just be like, "Hello, thank you for your interest. We are currently in active development. Thank you," and waves.
yep,
That's what I would expect. Here's a question:
hmm
with I mean, with the new PlayStation Plus that's coming out, would they announce that older games are coming to the platform in a stealth announcement? I don't expect it in State of Play, but PlayStation is on Summer Games Fest partner lineup, and I don't expect them to make a huge announcement there. But maybe I'm
that's
wishing.
that could be a good point, especially because um, they have Square Enix as a announcement partner on the Summer Games Fest. Yeah, I could see sort of like um, PlayStation doing some crossover with Square Enix to say, hey, by the way, did you know we're adding a bunch of Square Enix classics to the um, PlayStation Plus premium service, and then just try to drive the hype machine there.
Here's Brave Fencer Mushashi. Oh, thanks. Like, I like Brave Fencer Mushashi, but that would not be what I'd be hyped for. Um, Steam's gonna be there. Steam Deck.
Maybe Steam Deck or some sort of like announcement that they're producing systems faster or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like
Steam's always a wild card.
like people are thinking that they're gonna announce a game, and I don't think that's gonna happen. I
No.
MDHR, Studio MDHR, they're just gonna show off the new DLC for Cuphead. That's easy. W Games is gonna show off Gotham Knights. Um, Epic Games is gonna announce the new game that's coming next that week.
Yeah,
Um,
whatever their exclusive is.
yeah. Xbox is gonna be there. Don't expect a big announcement there. They're gonna save that for their conference. I would expect a I would expect a smaller announcement, but they don't really do small games anymore. So I don't really. Maybe they'll announce something is coming to Game Pass that they're not going to waste time on with their stream. But even then, they could just announce that on stream for 30 seconds and be fine. So I don't.
Yep. Maybe like even like a sizzle reel or something during the Xbox presentation.
Yeah, I guess. Um.
I would even maybe muse, and I would put this in the probably not going to happen, but
Mhm.
um, maybe to drive the Xbox hype, maybe some sort of like limited edition controllers or something, just to say, hey, look, fancy controller in a funky color or something.
You can get Jeff Keighley's face on your controller. Take a look with the Dorito
Um,
hat and everything. I would buy that. I'd buy that.
Dorito Pope one.
Unironically, I would buy it.
Uh, um, Raw Fury is an interesting mention, mostly because they just mostly release small label games
Yeah,
from small studios and stuff. For anyone not familiar with them, some of their stuff was games like Kingdom New Lands, Torment and Punisher, Dendara, Kingdom Two Crowns.
the Kingdom games are
Uh,
great.
yeah,
Bad North, Sable was which what
Backbone.
they released this year or last
Yep.
year. Never mind, last year. So they probably will have something interesting. Um, Bandai Namco. What do you? A new Naruto game? Eh.
Maybe a new Naruto game, maybe some anime stuff. I know My Hero Academia is one of the animes that's got games under the Bandai Namco label, so maybe something related to that.
Yeah.
Um, Goodness. Yeah,
Skybound
just
will. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
um maybe some Tekken related news. I
Mm,
know recently they showed off the Virtual Fighter collaboration DLC for Tekken 7,
was it for
but
Tekken 7 or was it for Virtual Fighter?
oh, excuse me, I'm mixing this up.
No, I understand why you get that mixed up, but I thought it was for
Yeah,
Virtua Fighter.
yeah, Tekken
Yeah.
it's Tekken 7 costumes for Virtual Fighter.
Hmm.
So, yeah, never mind. Completely got that mixed
No,
up.
that's fine.
Um maybe something regarding the future of Tekken because um I know a lot of the the fighting game tournament folks are wondering if they're for the Namco Bandai competitive circuit, if Tekken 7 is still going to be the standard for Tekken tournaments, or if it's going to be like a little announcement of, hey, Tekken 8 in development or something.
I think at this point it would be Tekken Tag 3. Because I think there doesn't. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But wasn't it 1, 2, 3, Tekken Tag 1, 4, 5, 6, Tekken Tag 2? Well, it was 4 and 5 in Tekken Tag 2. 6 and 7. Maybe Tekken Tag 3 is that new one. Which would be good because Tekken Tag, even though it's not a mainland tag, mainland Tekken, would actually do pretty well. So I would. That's just speculation on my part, but
Yeah,
they've already said in some. I think I read in some things that Soul Calibur didn't do well this past one, so that's pretty much on the back burner.
yeah, I imagine that Soul Calibur's on ice,
Yeah,
especially since just the tournament scene really didn't pick up into it, and I think part of it is due to when the COVID lockdown started happening, and the net code wasn't as good as Tekken 7, and they just didn't want to put the money into just making sure that the net code was good,
yeah.
or that it got updated. So unfortunately, I think that uh, that really puts Soul Calibur um Soul Calibur 6 on ice at this point.
Um, Skybound. They're gonna show off the Wolf of the Wolf. God, what the name's that game? The
Oh,
The Wolf Among Us.
yeah, The Wolf Among Us 2,
Yeah.
definitely likely.
Okay. Capcom.
Probably a recap on some of the stuff that was shown off in State of Play.
Yeah.
Um, maybe maybe they've got some smaller projects that they want to talk about a little bit
Pragmata,
more.
maybe. Nah,
Maybe.
nah. If Pragmata were to be announced, it would probably be on the State of Play. Hmm. Maybe. Well, wait a minute. When does Sunbreak come out?
Sunbreak, end of June.
That could be a possibility. They would advertise Sunbreak.
Yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, I could definitely see just something to kind of remind people, hey, Sunbreak's coming.
Hmm. I mean, the rest we would just be speculating, really. Like really speculating because we're not sure. Like Deep Silver, I have no idea. Um, uh,
Yeah, Deep Silver, maybe more talk on just the future of Dying Light 2, because I know they
mhm.
recently had to make an announcement of, hey, we know we announced that we had season pass content coming, but we got to push that back a little bit.
Yeah,
So, but Deep Silver is also the publisher for the new Saints Row reboot game.
that's
So,
right. Ugh.
so that could be something that they might talk about.
Why am I not excited at all for that? I mean, at all. I liked the Saints Row games. They were ridiculous fun. To me, they were more fun than GTA. But
Yeah.
I'm like the gameplay doesn't look too bad. I think that's good, but just the trappings around it is just like maybe not for me. They may be going younger, which is fine, but I don't know. But you're right, that they could be showing that off. Um yeah. Unless you have something else, I think that would be it really, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think that covers the majority of the partners that'll be showing stuff off.
Okay. So, why don't we get into what's going to be at the Xbox Showcase? And we'll start with what I think basically what Avowed is going to be there. Grounded will be there. Starfield has to be there. Like if it's not there, then oh my god, there are problems. That will be the talk. Like if it's not there, I think that will drown out any other announcement. So it has to be there. So
Yeah, they probably will have some sort of um, just showcase of what's playable or something, at least at minimal.
Um, rumor is, or has this been announced, or is it still rumor? Gears of War collection, 1, 2, and 3 getting facelifted for the new Xbox.
I think it's been rumored, but I haven't been able to find anything substantial to sort of put a hard confirmation on it.
Mm. Um,
One from my corner of gaming, um, I would say maybe there might be a possibility that um, Forza Motorsport 8 might be shown off, because I know that was one series that they had to put on ice for a good while, especially
yeah,
just after a lot of the backlash from the DLC model that they went with for Motorsport 7 and everything.
and the driving was still good in it, but yeah, it was just the way that they would dole out the cars and everything just did not sit well with others. Redfall would have to have a trailer, a gameplay reveal. I
Yeah,
think.
especially even though it's delayed, they've got to show something to kind of build the hype machine
Mm-hmm.
for Redfall.
ID at Xbox will have some things. Um, I
Since
don't.
Xbox also owns Humble Bundle,
Mm-hmm.
maybe some announcement on some of the Humble Bundle games that have been sort of announced. One of the ones that I would love to see more information on is Bushiden, which is kind of like a more modern contemporary Shinobi 3 sort of action game. So
Yeah.
would love to see more information on that since they announced that they would be hopefully pushing out a release date sometime soon, but it's just been sort of in limbo, just pending a release date.
Um, I would expect them to talk about Stalker 2, but not show gameplay, not show anything new, just announce that it's still in development and that the developers are safe. I think they have to mention something with Stalker 2 just because of what's going on over there. So
Yeah,
I I think it would be, how would I put this? It would be kind of shitty if they don't mention what's going on over there and just say, "Hey, we're here to support them with whatever they need, and we are supportive of them, and they can take the time that they need to get the game done. What matters is their safety." I think they have to. I think that if they were smart, they would say that during the stream. Um,
yeah.
Back to Forza Motorsport 8. Wouldn't they announce more on Horizon 5 DLC? Would they really want to cannibalize Horizon 5?
Well, I mean, the thing with Horizon 5 is it caters to a whole different sort of racing fan,
I get
where
that, yeah.
Horizon is more um, just kind of music and car modding culture, whereas Motorsport is for the person who um, likes the idea of Gran Turismo but doesn't want to get a PlayStation for Gran Turismo.
Okay.
So sort of a different animal, especially just um, because just usually anyone who's sort of in the casual racing space, they'll just kind of tune out when anything Forza Motorsport is talked about, and then anyone who's hardcore about motorsport, they'll just think that the Horizon games are a little bit too arcadey for their taste.
Okay.
So I don't really foresee any sort of cannibalization. Though bringing up Horizon 5 is interesting because in a few weeks, Season Pass 1 will be pretty much done for the cars, and they haven't really announced any word on what the expansion will be, and the expansion is part of the Season Pass.
Okay. Okay.
So um, they could finally have some sort of announcement regarding the expansion that's tied to the season pass. So that's actually a good point. So we could see some sort of announcement. But it'll be interesting on what they decide to do because um, you had Horizon 3 had the Hot Wheels tie-in, and then Horizon 4 you had the Lego tie-in. So it'll be really, really curious to see what sort of direction they go with the expansion for Horizon 5. If it's
Yeah.
going to be another toy company collab, or if it's going to be, hey, we're just going to take you to a completely different setting.
Okay. Um, One announcement that Gaming Intel thinks is going to happen is Slime Rancher 2. They're going to have a gameplay reveal there. Have you played Slime Rancher?
Yes, and I had to delete it off of my Xbox because of one reason. That game is way too damn cathartic for its own good.
Yes. Yes, you're right. Absolutely. Okay. Um, with the exception of Starfield, it doesn't look like Bethesda is going to be revealing much. It's it's looking like Microsoft, nothing rare except for Grounded. Maybe they'll announce something for Sea of Thieves. I don't know. Just overall for Xbox and their stream, this has to be a big one. This has to be a like I don't think people think like this anymore because E3 is not E3 anymore, but they would have to win the week to be like to gain some upper hand because if they don't impress here, you're looking at another 12 months before you can have another big announcement because unfortunately, Xbox does not do big showcases. They do ID at Xbox sometimes, but they don't do big bang out announcements. And if they tried, it wouldn't really resonate as much as maybe a State of Play or a Nintendo Direct would. So they really, really need a big win here. Because if they don't, you're going to look at another 12 months of people saying, there's nothing on Xbox. There's no new games. All there is Game Pass. That sucks. If I want to play games, you have to play it on PlayStation. And you don't need that for another 12 months. So they really need to impress here.
Yeah, and I definitely agree, especially just with the glut of Xbox Xbox Game Pass articles that came out in the podcast where we discussed that. I believe that was last week. Yeah, there's got to be some sort of big heavy hitter announcements in the Xbox Bethesda presentation, or yeah, just people are just gonna kind of get on that doom and gloom train and go, yep, Xbox has lost it, guys.
The last one. Holy crap. Okay. So, we here at Capital Games love to shit on the PC gaming show, and for good reason. It is the cringiest shit you will ever watch. But the only reason why you will watch it, like us, and you'll suffer through it, is because they actually show good games. They actually show interesting games that you'd want to hear about. Now, Zero, I looked earlier for rumors and possible announcements from the PC gaming show. I got nothing. I don't see anything. They said they're announcing 45 games, and did they really even detail partners in this? I don't think they did.
No, but I assume as far as partners go, AMD is probably going to be there,
Yeah,
especially since
they'll announce something hardware based or talk about Ryzen.
yep. So I assume the next generation of the AMD Radeons will probably be talked about since I know I believe Nvidia's already started talking about the new 4000 series cards.
Yeah.
So I would assume AMD's got to strike back and say, "Hey, so new Radeon's coming." So that's my take on it.
Uh, it looks like 11-bit Studios and Clay Entertainment have already said they're going to announce something there. Um, New information on Arma is going to be there. New information on Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2. Okay, that has me a little excited. Okay.
Yeah, 40K Space Marine was so good,
Yes.
and to know that a sequel is going to be talked about at the PC gaming show, that is going to be so fun, especially since Nothing more satisfying than just sawing up an orc when you got it into a down state in the original Space Marine.
Yeah.
That was so much damn fun.
Game Pass put in the original Space Marine. I mean, come on.
Yep.
Um, that's it. That's all I'm getting. That's all I'm seeing here is those are confirmed. What could be shown? Did Salt and Sacrifice come out yet? I don't think it has it?
I
Yes, it did. Never mind.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought it did, but I couldn't remember offhand.
Maybe something on Scorn and Redfall. Yeah, I don't. This is what's frustrating about the PC gaming show. The announcements there can be exciting, and they can be interesting, and you'll want to hear more about it. But you just have to sit through the awful, awful dialogue and awful, okay, maybe calling the host awful is harsh, but when you're literally sitting there going, "Oh God, come on," hmm.
Yeah,
like
they've got some of the cringiest skits on the fucking planet.
yeah, like I would not if they would just say, "Here to announce this game is this guy," and they do a 5 minute spiel on the stage, and then hey, here's the trailer. Okay, cool. Here is this person to tell us more about this. Well, that person, let me tell you about this game, and here is this person to tell me about it. Oh, that's it? Great. Show the trailer. Yeah, I'd be fine with that. But, God, they, it's almost admirable that they try to do a little extra, but it's just like that kid in school that you had that would try and try and do extra, but would fail every single time. Where you would have to say to the person, dude, just answer the question. You don't have to do extra. It's okay. Just,
Yeah.
just, it's okay. Don't. No, stop. Don't. Stop. Okay.
Yeah, and I think just the worst part is just it hasn't improved on getting away from the cringiness
No, in
year
fact,
after year.
they not only did it not improve, they're leaning into it, which is just like, why are you doing this? It's kind of like they purposely do it as a test to see how much BS someone can take before they say, I can't take it anymore. I am turning this shit off. And yeah, I think that's what I think it literally is a government op test to see how much a person can handle until they snap. And I think that honestly, I think that's what the PC gaming show is. It's just 5 years running of let's see how much a person can handle until they say, okay, enough, just stop, and that's it. But as of announcements, I don't have anything. But I can't honestly say to somebody, don't watch it. But I would say, be warned, you're gonna cringe, and you're gonna cringe hard. And but like when you see, I'll put it this way: if you see a person talking, mute it. When you see a trailer, unmute it, and then be ready for that. That's what I would say. Or if you have two monitors, don't pay attention to when people are speaking, and then when they're not speaking, then watch the trailer. Do it that way. Don't be like us. We're going to just watch this and be like, oh, God. Oh, this is painful. Oh. Okay. Do you have anything that you think is going to be announced, or are you with me where it's like, we don't know?
Yeah, I've tried to look for information as well, and just it's been pretty dry, and the only thing I can really think of is just Lisa Su, who's the CEO of AMD. She'll probably be there to announce whatever the next generation Radeon is, maybe the next generation of the Ryzen chips. I don't know, but yeah, it's just so hard to really definitively say. So,
No.
yeah, I'm with you. We'll probably be suffering through this, but we suffer because we love you guys.
It's,
So,
it's and it's the longest one out of any of them. It's 2 hours long. Oh God.
Yeah, the
Oh,
humanity.
good God. Okay. Um, there is a there is a how do I put this? There is one other thing to discuss, but it's an oddball. It's something that hasn't been announced yet, but people are kind of speculating it could be announced for next week, but there's really no indication that this is happening. Nintendo usually does an E3 direct during E3, but of course, since this is E3, not E3, it's not set in stone. But when they do it, they usually announce a digital event a month beforehand, but they didn't do it this time. So most people are thinking it's not happening. They're going to do a direct probably sometime in the summer. But some seem to think that they are going to announce something. It's just going to be on their standard 2 days beforehand, and then they'll have the direct, which I think on that note would be a bad idea, but I can see why people think that.
Yeah, especially since Nintendo's been sort of throwing a crusade against leakers, so they could do um, kind of one of their sneaky little directs where just they poison the well of information, so you've got the leakers scrambling and grasping at straws, and well, um, firing anyone who has been determined to leak out the false information and all that, and then just boom, hey, surprise direct, guys. So
Mm.
yeah, just Nintendo's a bit of a wild card like that, but
Yeah.
that's just how it is. There's no real other way to put it.
And Nintendo doesn't really have much announced for the summer. So, like I said, it does kind of make sense that people think that they're going to do a stealth drop, but I don't think they do that. I don't think they're going to do that without building hype. So I think July you're going to get a direct.
That and to me, I would be inclined to agree as much as I hate it, but I would be most certainly inclined to agree because yeah, just um, the idea of Nintendo doing a stealth one, while not great, I think there is maybe a potential chance. Now, if Nintendo's just absolute batshit insane, they might do something just on a surprise during this Summer Games Fest time period and go, "Hey, PS, by the way, we've got something."
Yeah. Like I said, I'd be shocked by that. Or they say, yeah, you don't want to watch the PC gaming show, watch us first. I'm like, yes, thank you. And be there. Okay. Final thoughts. I'll go first. I'll reiterate this again. This is the year that Xbox has to show something. They have to show that for the next 12 months, that they have a lineup that you'll want to wait for, that you'll want to get a hold of. Because if they don't, I think the talk of them not having any games will just get worse and could damage Game Pass to a certain extent. Because that's the talk is going on right now. And right now, people are defending it, saying, oh, but there's plenty of these games on there, and there's a bunch of indie games, and there'll be stuff. There'll be stuff. So yeah, I don't mind. It's okay. But if you then come out of this and people are still saying, oh, wow, they really don't have anything, then you got a problem. So they need to come out guns blazing and win this and get people excited. Because if they don't, they're in trouble. Sony doesn't have to do anything, which is why they're only doing a 30-minute state of play. So they'll rest on their laurels and release their 50 hertz PAL versions of games on their PS Plus and just say, fuck you, you're going to buy it. And they're probably right. And that's it, really. I mean, who do you think needs to have a strong showing?
Unfortunately, I think Xbox is playing follow the leader this time. That they need to push a strong showing. They need to say, hey, yeah, Starfield might be delayed. Sure, um, uh, um, Redfall might be delayed. But we've still got stuff on the immediate to future horizon,
Yeah.
and you have to look. You'll wanna keep track with this because it's going to be exciting. That Xbox, they definitely need to make a strong showing, or like you said, just it's just going to fall back on the whole. Oh, well, Xbox doesn't have anything good, and Game Pass looks like it's a dead service, so
Yeah.
oh, it's not worth it. And
Right.
all while being more than happy to pay $120 a year to get 50 hertz PAL versions of beloved PlayStation games and go, well, I can't tell the difference. You guys who are complaining it's not the NTSC versions are on drugs.
Yeah. Um. Let's be fair though. If the emulation was good on PlayStation, we wouldn't have a problem. I would probably get it. But anyway. Yeah, like Xbox needs to show something here. They need to prove that they have something. Like, even if it's like we don't have anything for the next 6 months really, except for maybe Gears of War collection. But we will have something in January. We'll have something in March. We'll have something in April. Like, show that before the next showcase, you have something exciting. And then, I think you'll be okay. Like, if Starfield amazes, like, if they show Starfield and it blows people away, I think more people will be like, okay, I'll wait for that and be fine. But God, if they don't show Starfield or if it tanks, oh my God, are they in trouble? And they need to, they're gonna have issues. Okay, Zero. So with that, we're at the end. But as always, I have a question for you.
All right.
Okay, so fuck games for now. I mean, God, we talk about them so much, and that's all we talk about. And God, fuck them, So let's talk about things in general. Okay. Just a general question. What are you nostalgic for? Like, what do you sit around thinking about in the past that you're like, wow, I really enjoyed that. I wonder, let me watch that again, or let me experience that again. Maybe it's games. What are you nostalgic?
Unfortunately, it's going to be something tangentially related to games, but
Okay.
I just miss games just kind of going with completely bonkers, non-realistic premises. Just something that's just fun. They're not worrying about hyper realism. They're not worrying about just face melting graphics or anything. Just a game that's just got solid art design, just fun to play, and just a complete blast while either being really engaging or just really silly and just really off the wall. And I mean, and when I say off the wall, it doesn't. I'm not necessarily referring to like slapstick. I'm referring to just it can be just completely zany shit. Great example is like Einhander.
Oh yeah.
Premise of that game is just you've got this space war going on, and the only civilization that has survived on Earth is the Germans, and it's basically
Of course.
Moon City people versus the Germans, and just tanks and mechs that are shouting commands in like German and stuff like that. Completely bonkers,
Yeah.
like premise and plot, and just absolutely a fantastic art design. Unfortunately, since it uses a lot of polygons, it hasn't aged well. But just the fact that just the premise was just so out there, it just made it so much fun to play.
I remember Ian Onder. I think we talked about it last week, didn't we? But
yeah.
yeah. I'm thinking of like Stretch Panic.
Yeah.
Katamari Damacy.
Yeah, Katamari is another good one. Yeah, Mr. Mosquito, that's another hilarious one.
Just really crazy games that you're like, how did they come up with this?
hell, even one that's still a favorite to me, and that has aged so well. Um, Legend of Zelda Wind Waker. Just they didn't have the best graphics at the time, so they went with kind of a cell shaded aesthetic. The game plays great. The sailing sections suck on GameCube, so I would advocate if anyone is interested in Wind Waker to get yourself a Wii U and play the Wii U version because um, due to the faster loading times on the Wii U, just the sailing parts are so much shorter. So less boating around to get to places, and the boat sails faster to boot.
Hmm.
So,
Okay.
but yeah, that game has aged so great, and it's always fun to just kind of revisit it and play the game to completion again. But yeah, that's really what I get nostalgic for. Just the era when just games were just absolutely silly, had great art design, and were just fun to play instead of this just chase of, hey, we need to be hyper realistic, we need to be just super um super on point with face melting graphics and just we have to use all the state of the art technology just to make this game just look absolutely bonkers that people are just going to go, "Oh my God, I need this. The graphics are so good."
Yeah.
And and just uh, and I just fear that we're just going to get to a point of diminishing returns with graphics that it's just going to finally hit, and then people are just going to be like, "Okay, well, it's great that this game is so hyper realistic and it's being fed via a 12K feed directly into my brain, but the game's not fun. Just I hate this.
Yeah.
Has this is this what the video games industry has become? Because yeah, fuck this. I'm not gonna buy any more video games, and we have yet another video game crash, much like the one we saw in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Uh, I think that that really covers
Really?
just what I get nostalgic for.
Okay.
Just the era of games where just imagination just sort of went wild, and the art design was fun, and gameplay was also fun to boot.
Okay. So what I get nostalgic for are Game Boy Advance games. Like the Game Boy Advance was the first console that I bought on my own. So I get nostalgic for that, and I love the system. Um, Super NES games. It's what I really fell in love with games. Um, Movies from when I was in high school. Um, yeah, like there are just some movies that even though I can look at them now and say, yeah, they're not so good, I still get nostalgic for it. So there's that. Um, Zero, you know me pretty well from the past few years. Been 10 years, hasn't it?
Yeah, I want to
Oh
say
my
almost
god.
10 years at this point.
Holy shit. Okay, so would one thing you would call me is a snob, right?
Possibly.
Oh, okay. Especially with movies, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're gonna hear me talk about how much I love Jacques Demy and Bergman, Fellini, like really like classy stuff. Ozu, Kurosawa. Okay. Do you know what I'm nostalgic for the past like I instantly get nostalgic for? Okay.
Hmm.
Attitude Era WWF.
Interesting.
Okay.
I knew you're a big pro wrestling guy, but yeah, that's an interesting thing to be nostalgic for.
I'm not though. Here's the thing. I was a big fan of WWF in high school. And have you watched pro wrestling before?
Yeah, I mean, I still do now, but mostly when my brother-in-law is around because he's a big pro wrestling
Oh,
guy
okay.
even now.
Okay. I loved Attitude Era because it was so crazy. They just did all this crazy stuff, and yeah, you can talk about your Stone Colds, The Rock, Triple H, Shawn Michaels. I mean, those are great. But you know who my favorite wrestler is, and not because my favorite wrestlers are Bret Hart, Chris Jericho, and unfortunately Chris Benoit. And if you do you know why I say unfortunately for Chris Benoit?
Yes, that
Okay.
one I am very familiar with.
Yes. I think if anybody who isn't into wrestling, they probably know of Hulk Hogan, The Rock, and unfortunately Chris Benoit, because Chris Benoit is the wrestler who killed his wife and kid and himself one night. God, what was it, like 15 years ago? And what they don't
Yeah.
tell you is he was a gifted technical wrestler, and I love technical wrestlers. And I loved Chris Benoit, but I'm ashamed to say it because oh God, it was terrible. But I'm gonna put on our chat right now who I would say conceptually was one of my favorite characters in WWE. Tell him the name.
Val Venis?
Val Venus. Do you want to know the concept of Val Venus?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Val Venus is a professional wrestler who's also a porn star.
Interesting.
And he has, if you watch the entrance video, the music is standard 70s porn music. And he's like, wait, like, oh my
With the
God.
wacky saxophone.
Yes. And it's so corny and so good. And it's full of double entendres. And when he comes out of the walkway, he's wet and in a towel every time. And it's so funny. It's so ridiculous. And the one skit I remember from Val Venus, and it's controversial now because it deals with Asian stereotypes, but I will talk about it. There was a group of Japanese wrestlers called Kaientai, and they were good wrestlers, but they were totally underused in the WWE at that time. And the plot was that Kaientai's manager, I forgot what his name was, had a wife, and the wife slept with Val Venus. So as retribution for doing that, they, after a match with I forgot who, with Val Venus and another person, they come out on the stage with a samurai sword and a big chunk of salami, and they say, "I'm gonna choppy your pee-pee."
Oh my God, that is bad.
It's terrible. But this is how this ends. Okay, but this is what happens next. At the end of the show, towards the end, when the show goes on, I think they knock him out or they drug him. And you don't know what happened to Val Venus. But at the end of the show, at the tail end, they show people trying to get into a room. And in the room, they have Val Venus tied up by his wrists on the ceiling with his pants down and his ass blurred. And the manager attempting to chop off his you-know-what. And before they do it, they cut the feed, and that's the end of the show. He's like, that is freaking crazy. But that's not the craziest thing. Okay, it gets worse. In the next episode of Raw, because this is when it happened, it was Monday Night Raw, they come out with Val Venus, the manager's wife from Kaientai, and John Wayne Bobbitt. Do you know who John Wayne Bobbitt is?
Not offhand.
You don't know who John Wayne Bobbitt is. Do you remember Lorena Bobbitt?
Yes, okay. Now it's coming back to me.
Great. So they brought John Wayne Bobbitt with him. And as he's walking down the ramp, he's got an ice pack on his genital area. Like, ooh. It's just like, Jesus Christ. And the end of it is basically that on the last second, when they were about to chop his dick off, John Wayne Bobbitt turns off the lights in the room and saves Val Venus from having his member chopped off. And I don't know why I remember this so much. Just because of just how, well, how ballsy it was. It's just like, wow, really? You really went there? Okay. But yeah, now it's offensive as hell. You can't do it, and for good reason. And
Yep.
but you can't do anything anymore that the Attitude Era did. Like WWE is a kids brand now. It's geared more towards a younger set than it was in the Attitude Era. So even though I appreciate like professional wrestling, I can watch a match and appreciate how it is, I can't watch the shows because it's too vanilla. It has no personality. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I watch YouTube videos all the time about professional wrestling. Like from like New Generation to Attitude Era and a little bit of Ruthless Aggression. Like I'm nostalgic for that big time. like listen to the entrance video for Val Venus.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, I'd watched through it just now and I was like, my God, yeah, no way this would fly today. Holy crap.
And the other thing with Kai and Tai, once they stopped this one, they ended this one. They kind of went away for a little while. And do you know what their new gimmick was? This is really bad. Their new gimmick was basically they would come out and they would get on the mic, but it would be dubbed over cheesy English dialogue from like old old karate films. You know, when they would talk, but it would be talked over in English, but the English did not match the mouth at all. So that's how they would come out. So instead, like they would probably talk in their native tongue, but then all you would hear was, "I am going to kick your butt," and then the tagline was, "Indeed," would be the tagline, and that was their shtick for about a year, I think. Like, ugh. Thankfully, they don't do that anymore because they actually have some. Like, actually, come to think of it, I'm thinking about it now. WWE is the only sport where I think people respect the female wrestlers a little more than the male wrestlers now. Because the female wrestlers are actually very good. They're entertaining. So
Yeah. I know Asuka's super funny because she has her own like sort of YouTube blog channel, and
Oh,
every
yeah?
once in a while she'll talk about her WWE stuff,
Yeah.
and it's always funny because just um there was one blog video she had where she talked about how she got like a major grocery store advertising gig. And she was just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go shopping and see if anyone recognizes me from WWE and everything." And it's funny because just she kind of talks about how excited she was because she was just like, "Yeah, just I get talked about a lot in like Japanese media, but yeah, just I get a little bit of airtime showcasing my skills and stuff, but yeah, just to be kind of put front and center of an advertising campaign. Holy cow, this is like super cool."
Yeah. Asuka and Becky Lynch, I think, are the two most interesting of the female wrestlers. Becky Lynch is actually really good. I'm surprised I don't like Charlotte Flair as much.
Mm,
But because I love Ric Flair, but Charlotte Flair is kind of a copy, but I get it because that's his daughter. I get it.
yeah.
But, yeah. So yeah, even though I act like a snobbish art house loving film buff, deep down I'm kind of a scumbag myself. I mean, if any of you have not seen, I think if you literally look on YouTube and type "I choppy your peepee," yeah, it shows up. Here, let me.
What a wild, wild era. Holy cow.
Let me show this to you. Yeah, let me show this to you. we're gonna end it here, but I'm just gonna post this because it's crazy. Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, that'll be it for this episode of the Capital Games Podcast. Tune in next week where we'll discuss the goings-on in the gaming industry. I don't think there's going to be much, though, because the E3, not E3 festivities will be in the middle of. So maybe we'll have a special episode. I'm The Wiz.
And I'm Zero.
Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, or if you want to catch us in your favorite podcatcher, we are on all the podcatchers, so you can go ahead and listen to us on there. And we'll talk to you next time.